I'm Chani Modi. I'll be your host today. I've spent the last 2 decades building and scaling enterprise platforms and resilient teams, from founding my own businesses to helping growing multi-billion dollar businesses at VMware. Now, across those experiences, one thing has always been true: relationships compound. And the other thing that is also true is that I'm not very good at building relationships. So I appreciate everything that David is going to share with us today. um, all right. So whether you are here to level up your outreach game, find better collaborators, or just feel a little less awkward about networking, I think you'll get a lot of value from today's session with David. So David is a seasoned product and growth leader with over 2 decades of experience transforming technology and marketing landscapes. He has led product and business initiatives at standout companies like LiveRamp, Kinesso, Signal, Conversant, and Discovery Communications, and has built a reputation for pairing big picture strategy with sharp execution. So David's been thinking deeply on how people connect and how influences gets built. And I've seen him develop this thought process over the last year, and it's really um, really actionable. So I'm really excited to have David here. He holds an MBA from Kellogg with focus on entrepreneurship, finance, and marketing, and BS from Indiana's Kelley School. But today, he is here to do something very human: help us all network more effectively, more meaningfully, and maybe more joyfully. Okay, David, we are so glad to have you here. Take it away.
All right, let me share my screen. All right, I see the Kelly alum, so that's good. Um, can you all see the slides? I'm going to put them in presentation. Good, thumbs up. All right, present, I'm pressing it. And I want presenter view, present. Okay, I don't need that. Yes, enter full screen mode. I'm just do a little got it over
Yeah.
here. Give me 1 second. I'm going to pull up the chat so I can kind of monitor it as we're going, and then I'll be ready to start going through. Okay. Thank you, Chani, for that very warm introduction. I'm going to try to go through a lot of material. In terms of background here, I've been teaching networking for about 6 months to the Product Career Accelerator with Alex Rashevsky. I do weekly sessions, and then I've just been building this deck up and up through stuff that I've been doing for 20 plus years, but now kind of formalizing it, documenting it, teaching it, getting feedback on it, and perfecting it. So what I'm going to go through is a lot of tactics that have been proven to work for me and others. So what's the pain point here? For most people, the networking pain point is like, I can't land interviews for the roles that I want. Yes, there's some other pain points in terms of like, I want to network better within my company. I just want to have like more people in my network. I want to build career capital. But let's be honest, if we're talking pain points, usually people put it off and then they're out of work and they need to land interviews and now they have to network. So that's what I'm going with here. And the problems can be like having the wrong mindset, which I'm going to cover, not knowing where to start, like thinking it's going to take too long and having these time constraints, like how much networking do I do? Not having your own network already, like building from scratch. We talked about messaging in the beginning. Not feeling transactional, like how to make it seem like it's actually mutually beneficial, and not like cringe or icky, that type of stuff. And then for me, and I know this is for some other people too, the consistency and follow-up are difficult because it's a little bit different than the applications because there's a lot of back and forth and you have to do more networking. Like you have to network with more people than number of places you apply to. So the numbers are higher and the back and forth is bigger and it just gets out of hand and you're like, oh, I missed that. Whoops. So we're going to talk about that too. By the way, if you have questions, put them in the chat. And if they're very specific about what we're talking about, I can, Chani will chime in. And if they're something that I'm going to cover later, we'll hold it off and we'll get to those at the end. Okay, so I like to use product magic from before I started doing the networking stuff. And so now I'm calling this networking magic. There's a backstory about why I'm into magic. I'm going to save that for later, but it's there. But to me, magic is like anybody can do it. Like Even magicians obey the laws of physics. They just know the secrets and they practice it to mastery. And that's magic. And so for me, this is the networking magic that I'm going to teach you, like the secrets, and you can practice it and you'll be a networking magician yourself. And those things are the four M's. So we're going to go through the mindset, the methods, the messaging, and the management so that you can do this for yourself. And I'm not going to talk about the descriptors here because we're already going through them. We're going to hit them in the future slides. A little bit more about my background. Shani already said it. But what we didn't say, but this is a good slide to remind everybody, yes, I will share this deck. All these instructions, you're going to get them because I'm going to go through some stuff fairly quickly. I'm going to kind of tell you about like what's possible, but I'm not going to necessarily have enough time in this session to like go through every detail of how to do them. So this is a good spot to say you can come back to this because you're going to get the deck and the recording. Here's an example of some of the accomplishments. Help people get referrals, help people talk to recruiters, talk to executive recruiters, source interviews from LinkedIn posts. Like this stuff works, and I'm going to teach you how to do it. I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can just glance at the companies. Like these are actual feedback that I've gotten from people at these companies saying like, holy crap, this stuff works. David, you were right. I wasn't doing it. Now I am. Thank you so much. 2 pages full of it. So we're going to start off with the mindset. We're going to talk about what you need to do to get started. Like you can't just start reaching out haphazardly. You got to get clear on your goals and your identity so that you know like which companies and which people to target and who you are to present to them when you contact them. We're going to talk about whether or not you should prioritize applications. I'm going to be a little contrarian here, and might change some minds. We're going to rethink who is helping who and reframe that. We're going to conquer anxiety. We're going to say plant the tree now instead of whenever, however that one goes. And we're going to get through the setup. So the first thing is prioritizing your goals. And I was talking with a coach and I was telling them early on in my search, well, I kind of want remote and I kind of want like a public company and I kind of want like, to stay in ad tech and I kind of want all this stuff and blah, blah, blah. And he's like, David, you can have all those things in terms of your goals, but you need to have like one P0. And if that's remote, then you need to be realistic about what else happens. So when you make your list, make sure that you have one P0. Then make a list of the companies that fit those goals. And in some cases, and actually in many cases with people that I've worked with, because a lot of people that I work with want to just hit the top companies, get clear on the group that you want. Like, don't just say, I want to work at Google. Do you want to work at Google Geo? Do you want to work at Apple Health? Like, be very specific. And then I was going to show an example of company lists and criteria, but I will tell you, like, make your lists in terms of like company stage, company size, various things like remote or not, location, all those kind of things. Like think outside the box in terms of the criteria and then make that list. And you will need the list for later. Moving on to identity, like determine your strengths and unique selling proposition. So get your own positioning in order first, or like if you're not sure, you can do it as you go, and I can talk to that as well. Here's a couple of places that you can go. Like I'm not the only, product career coach out there. In fact, I'm like late to the party, but I'm focusing on this networking piece because a lot of other people don't. But here is like a couple of people that you can follow: Colin Larnell, Satish Mumareddy. There are others, and I refer them all the time. But go look at your product leadership archetype and the different markets and types of products. This is off of the first one is an article, and the second one is a link to a lightning round. But in that deck that Satish is presenting, he talks about like all the different angles that you can come at product. And it's good to have that down for yourself because then when you connect with somebody else and you tell them clearly who you are, you're finding yourself for them and it's easy for them to understand. Well, I'm pressing the arrow, but it's not doing it. There we go. Okay. Here's what I want to say about applications versus networking. A lot of people think that networking should be done after the application to get a referral. And I firmly disagree with that. I think that flow, that workflow can still be used, but I would prioritize networking. And here is an example of it. This person, I coached them and they said, I wanted to update you. I got an offer from a top public company. If I told you who it was, you might be able to like reverse engineer who it is. But I used your suggestion to look up hiring managers at that company. I looked into all the product leaders hiring at that company and I sent them a DM. And I realized this is giving me so much more traction than applying and trying to find the PMs working at the company. If they're hiring and they're posting, it's much easier to tell them why I'm reaching out. If they're hiring and they're posting, then you just say, hey, I noticed you're hiring, and you message them. And then you say, you're hiring for X. I've done so much X. And then you didn't even have to apply. Like maybe you can apply later and maybe you can apply also. But this person, and I am also telling you, this strategy works. All right. But David, I'm anxious about doing this. What if? That's this slide right here. It's like, what's the worst that can happen? You'll be ignored. Yeah, it's going to happen. Like, so what? Or maybe you'll be ignored now and then you'll be remembered later. Or you follow up multiple times after the first time you were ignored and then they respond. I have examples of both of these. I literally have an example, but I didn't have time to put it in the slide of somebody of multiple people who got back to me over 10 years later. So whatever you're doing now, you might think like, this isn't helping me. Like there's some stuff that will immediately help you. You can help yourself by following up. And some stuff won't immediately help you, but it didn't fail. It'll come back later and you'll be surprised. And then this is one of the mindset shifts. Maybe you're the exact thing that they're seeking. And maybe you can help them get a referral bonus. Or maybe you can make them look good because now they have a network to boast about and they didn't have to do any work. So, like, whatever LinkedIn profile they had or whatever action they took, like posting the job on LinkedIn instead of just letting their recruiters handle all of it, now you found them, which shows that they did some work or have a good profile, and now they get to show everybody else, like, look, I found David and he's actually a good fit. Like, look at what I can do. And they didn't do much of anything. You did it. So a lot of people think like networking is cringe because I'm just gonna be like, hey, can you give me a referral? Then what I'm telling you is that's not cringe. Like a lot of times that could help, especially if you're talking to the hiring manager. And even if you're not, if you're talking to somebody on a different adjacent team and they bring you in, if you've connected with them and shown why you would be a good fit, you're doing due diligence for them. You're making sure there's a good fit. We all know that like these applications get these job postings get like 500 applicants. You know 500 people are not qualified for that role. So if you're taking the extra time to prove that you are through other channels, that's actually a benefit. All right. Who's helping who? So your network is a gift to others. That's a key thing. Think you are helping them by reaching out first. And that is the key point of the main mentality shift. And here's a picture and a story example. So this is a picture of my family in Seattle. They've all passed away, but um, my grandpa Charlie is the one wearing the hat. And he told me in high school, young Davo, he said, only kiss the girls that are leaning towards you. Number one, and there's plenty of fish in the sea. So networking is a numbers game. There are people who are going to ignore you, but like you're going to reach out and people are going to respond. Great, then engage with them. And if you're doing enough outreach, then enough people will respond that you'll be plenty busy and you'll have stuff to work with in terms of your networking. See where I am. This just says, you should start. If you've got a warm network, great, leverage it and build it. And if you don't have a warm network, then get started, or you can find success with cold outreach. There's a lot of success with cold outreach. Here's some example numbers. I'll let you all read this one, and I'm just going to see where I'm at because I'm going to pause for questions in just a second. Oh yeah, this is the last slide for mindset. So I'll go through this real quick just to like drive the point home with metrics, and then I'll pause for questions on this section. This was a public fintech product director posted a role posted for a role on his team, and he posted it on LinkedIn. But the LinkedIn job posting itself did not reference the hiring manager, but he posted on his own feed 500 applicants, 37 referrals, which is actually that's kind of a lot, right? Like everybody knows you have to get a referral, but look what happened. 37 referrals. But a lot of those are like I don't know what the right term is, but I would call them like garbage referrals. Like you don't really know somebody, you just reached out to a stranger that you barely knew and like they put your name in the hat and now there's a list of 37 people. To me, that's okay. It's better than nothing, but you can do a lot better. There were 15 internal people on top of the referrals, and only 7 people reached out to the hiring manager out of 500. And 5 of those were from internals. So only 2 people out of 500 saw his post and reached out to him. And then there was one cross-functional partner who advocated for somebody. The hiring manager did follow up to everybody who sent outreach. And then here's how many people were interviewed. The recruiter screened 7 people, and I couldn't understand like how many of those were just based on the applicant resumes versus referrals. Probably some overlap. And 15 total people got a call with the recruiter or the hiring manager, which means 8 of the people who reached out got interviewed, which is everybody who did the hiring manager outreach and the one external person. So the takeaway is that like the majority of random referrals are ignored. Outreach is required to get traction. So I'm going to pause here and I see a question. Let's go to the questions. Started to do cold outreach companies that have a strong affinity and I love to join. I was hesitant in the past, but I figured this authentic way to show my interest and maybe make me a memorable for an undisclosed or future opportunities that matches my background and interests. Yes. If you have more questions, I'm going to pause here, put them in the chat, but I'm going to keep moving quickly because we're at 23 minutes and I want to leave time for questions at the end and I have a lot to cover. And if I'm going too fast, you can put that in the chat too, because I feel like I'm going pretty quick. All right. We're going to get into some methods. So now that you got your mindset, now that you got your list, now that you know who you are, now that you know you're going to do this and you're pumped, great. Now what do we do? The first thing is like just go to LinkedIn and make sure that your first degree connections are like in good shape. Establish your first degree connections. Then I'm going to show you how to do search. I'm going to show you what naked connections are. I'm going to talk about how to improve your feed and what to do with it on people's posts. I have some slides for in-person stuff and outside of LinkedIn for super connectors, which we'll talk a little bit about. And then I've already shown you that these tactics work. All right. Raise your hand if you could do the math here real quick. How many years of experience do you have? How many connections do you have? And is that 100 per year of work? So I've got 25 years of experience and I've got 5,000 connections. If you have 10 years of experience and you have less than 1,000 connections, I'm here to tell you, you probably have work to do because you can't find second degree connections if you don't have very many or very good first degree connections. So if that's the case, what do I do, David? I slacked and now I'm stuck. Like, help me. Okay, I got you. Go back to every place that you've worked and find in your own connections your coworkers. And that part's pretty easy to do. Go to my network, go to connections, under past company, put whatever company you worked at, and in your first degree, people will pop up. And you'll be able to see how many connections you have in common. But pick some of those people and then look at their connections and see who you remember that you didn't remember the person that you remember, but the fact that you didn't remember to connect with them, and just click the connect button. You don't have to say anything. You can just click the connect button, and then if they accept, then you can write them. But if you're trying to write a personalized note to every single person, hey, it's been 5 years, like, how have you been? I'm telling you, like, don't even waste your time. Yes, you could do that if you really have the time and you want to be personable and whatever, but just connect with them because some of them are going to be like, oh, it's been 5 years. I'm not going to connect with you, or I don't log on to LinkedIn or whatever. And then you've wasted your time sending those notes. Just connect, 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 connect. And then whoever responds, we'll go back and we'll look at our recent connections and we will go write them if we feel like it. So that's what this is saying. I'm seeing some questions pop up. Recruiters I've spoken with back up what you're saying. The key is people get discouraged because the hiring manager recruiters don't respond. Right. But the direct response is not the point. It's elevating your application. Yes, it's elevating your application. And I'm going to show you about following up. So people get discouraged because people don't respond. But I'm going to tell you, don't immediately get discouraged. Wait and get discouraged later, but not as much and after a while. So we're going to get to that one. Let me keep moving here. Especially if you're out of work, but even if you're not, do daily outreach in buckets. So just like think, now's my time to do some LinkedIn stuff, and there'll be some guidelines in here for the things that you can do, and just kind of do all of them in a batch, and then set it and forget it. So the first one is reconnect and keep in touch with your first degree connections. We covered that. The next one is the naked connection request. I'm going to give you an even more detailed example of that in the coming slides. But when you see people that could be a really good fit, like say I see somebody that was a past coworker or a past somebody that I did a meeting with, and I saw them because so and so remembered to connect to them and I didn't. Oh yeah, we had that meeting together. It's a really important project. And now they're at this great place where maybe they could help me. Great, send them a personalized invitation. Go into LinkedIn and do more and personalize invite and send them. And we'll talk about messaging in a second. But for the most people, just connect, 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 and come back to them. And that's what step 4 is: review new connections and message the ones who accept you. And all these purple things, they don't look like links, but when you get this deck, I actually link to the post where I like write this out in a huge big story. So here's a story. I use Bumble to meet my second wife. Yes, that's her, Erin. Um, and here's what happened. I got tired of reviewing and liking profiles and getting ghosted because, for those of you who don't know, Bumble, um, both people have to like each other, and then the women have to message first before the men can realize that there's a match. And so for me, I was spending a lot of time like looking at each person's profile and trying to decide if there's a good match. And then I would swipe, and then they wouldn't swipe, and then I wasted all that time. So one day I just got the bright idea that I was just going to swipe yes on everybody. I mean, I have filters set on. It wasn't like every single woman on Bumble. Like I was in Chicago and I was looking for people around the same age as me, etc. But I was just like, yes, 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 yes in the morning. And then whoever like also liked me, then I could find them and then I could talk to them. And the level of efficiency that changed was very high. And so that's why I call them naked connection requests. I mean, it could be blank or whatever, but it's like there's naked juice. So why not? This will help you. Like it's okay. LinkedIn changed. It's more like Twitter than it used to be, or X or whatever. It's more like open connection than the private, like original Facebook, original LinkedIn of the past. Is this? Oh yeah, I skipped. This one is like how to build your network for in-person stuff. You can come back to this, but like go attend stuff, meet them, and use the LinkedIn QR code. If you're not sure how to use that, look it up or ask me. Here's a slide about super connectors. Super connectors are really important because if you have somebody that you know well, that you can think of, who's in one of these types of roles, or you make an effort to meet someone like this and befriend them, and I'll tell you how you can do that, then they can be a huge help to you. So the person that I reference, and there's a link to this article, a link to this post, is Howard, my super connector. He and I met him like in the year 2000, I think, and we became roommates. And he lost his job, and I got him a job at my company, and then he went on to have a great career. And now he's in business development in tech, and so he knows everyone, and we're friends. And so he's a person that I lean on to say, "Hey, can you help me get an intro to this company?" And you should find yourself some of those too. And if you can't find them, here's an example of how you can make them. Here are some other examples: Sidebar, Alex at PCA, Lenny's community, Supra, or find some journalists. Like I reached out to Joe Zappa, who's an ad tech journalist. I complimented him. I told him I was an ad tech. I asked if he would get on a call. He did. I interact with his posts, and then I can ask him questions in the DMs, and he answers me, and it's great. Here's the example with Ben Erez. He is connected to Mark at Supra, and he's been highlighted. He wrote a post for Lenny's newsletter, and he teaches a Maven Lightning lesson about up-leveling your, or no, up-leveling is what Satish says, but about improving your meta product sense and analytical thinking interviews because he is ex-meta and calibrated. So I took his lightning lesson, and this is the exact message that I sent him. Hey, this was really helpful. Thank you so much. You gave me something for free, so I'm going to freely tell you I appreciate it and compliment you. And I actually followed up after this, and I said, oh, and I used the template in a practice mock, and I was so much better. And he's like, oh, you were? Then would you like to try this new thing that I've been building? It's an AI copilot. I'm like, yeah, sure, I'll try that. Like I didn't even know what it was. I had no idea what to expect. I download it. I'm like, this thing is awesome. Like it helps you answer these questions and understand like what to write. And I counted the words and I did all this other stuff. And I told him how I was using it and where it helped and where it didn't. And I offered them that feedback back. Now he charges like $500 for this thing. And the only way you can get it is either to pay for it outright or to join his cohort. And so the point is that like by taking the initiative to contact him and thank him and doing it with more than just a hey thanks, I was able to like create a relationship. I'm not saying that Ben's my best friend. I'm not saying that he would do whatever for me. I'm just saying like if I write him, he will usually write back and be helpful. And he referred me to somebody. Like that's how it works. Like I have some super connectors, but maybe Ben could be a super connector because he knows Lenny and he's connected to Supra. Go make yourself some super connectors. All right, here's some tactics. We're doing okay on time. This is good. Here's some like getting into the nitty-gritty of LinkedIn search. Also, I'm trying to make sure that I'm looking at the okay. If you have questions like about some of the things I'm saying, then put them in the chat and we'll either pause and hit them if they're not going to be covered, or we'll get them at the end so that we'll have the questions built up for when we get to the end. All right. Use LinkedIn search regularly. Search your first degree connections and then find second degree connections using these filters. So these filters are for 1 and 2. Go to LinkedIn, and one of the things you can just immediately do is see who's actively hiring. Just click it, and then you'll see. And you can go for your first degree, and then you can also go for your second degree. Usually in the first degree, like because I have a lot of connections, when I click on first degree, I get like 20, 30 people actively hiring. But you have to check this ongoingly, right? Because next week, maybe somebody new is going to be hiring. So it's not just like a one-time thing. And then if you get like in your second degree, 200 people actively hiring, then you can go into the keywords. And I'm going to show you on the next screen and add in like either product or talent or recruiter. And then if you don't find much there, you can add like functional peers like engineer or design. And then that'll help you filter out to a list of people that you can then consider reconnecting with if they're in your first degree. Oh, yeah, so and so is in product at AWS now, and we used to work together at Discovery, so I want to work at Amazon, so I'm going to reach out to Matt. Or, oh, I see this person in a second degree and he's connected to Matt, and like I worked really well with Matt, so I'm going to ask them. I'm going to ask Matt, like, hey, can you introduce me to so and so? Or I'll just reach out to so and so directly with a good cold outreach, and I'll show you those. When you get onto these people's profiles, don't waste the fact that you spent the time to go look at their profile. Look at their profile, and then LinkedIn helps you. They give you people you may know. They give you more profiles for you. If anybody looks remotely interesting, connect, 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 connect. And then whoever connects back with you, you can write, hey, thanks for accepting my connection. Like, here's where I'm at. Here's what I offer. Here's what I'm looking for. And that's how you become both efficient and effective. Here's what I'm talking about on LinkedIn. By the way, I put all this stuff in the slides for 2 reasons. One, because sometimes LinkedIn is wonky when I do these presentations and I don't like to switch back and forth. And 2, now you have it in the slides to go back to for reference. But it's not as perfect as like me walking you through it. But what I do is I click on my network. I don't know if you can see me hovering over, but I click on my network. And the important thing here is click on search with filters. If you don't do that, you can't get all these nice filters on top. And then you can find who's actively hiring, or clicking on all filters, you can pull it up over there. And if you scroll all the way down on the all filters under the keywords, that's where you can get the title piece and you can put product or recruiter or whatever. And this is going back, if you're still on the call, this is like what I was talking
I'm
about in
here.
terms of um, saying, oh, I know so many people. Who should I talk with? Filter it down to like product people in the Bay Area only. And then it'll go from like 5,000 to only like 100 or something or whatever. But still, um, it's a lot more manageable and you can just kind of go screen by screen by screen and just glance and it's not like insurmountable or overwhelming. Yep. Also connect with everybody in Sidebar and yes, definitely. And if you want to, if you all are not connected, then put your LinkedIn links in the chat and we can connect based on this call right now. I wanted to point out one additional thing, which is this contact out. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. And I will give Alex credit for this because I didn't know about it until Alex told me, but it is a free app. Well, it's paid, but like there's a free version for a reasonable amount of connections that when you're on somebody's profile, you use the Chrome extension and it will give you their email. This is especially helpful when you're trying to reach out to hiring managers or recruiters for roles that are posted. So if the role is posted, I see nothing wrong with messaging them on a LinkedIn if they connect with you and also sending them an email. That's the outreach. That fintech director that I told you about, that's what he was saying, like in terms of people who did the outreach. This is a super simple, direct way to do it. And we'll talk about like what to put in the message upcoming. Okay. There's so many people on LinkedIn and like I don't even know what to do and I want to talk with people and I want to like what David, my head is spinning. Okay. Let's talk about product management. Let's come back to product management where we're all nice and confident and comfortable. What are some networking North Star metrics? For me, I'm not tracking number of outreaches. I'm just outreaching 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there, a block of 30 minutes here. But if I'm outreaching and then going into something else to track my outreach, like, no, that's too much. So what I track is number of meetings per week. There's probably like better stuff to track now that I have this new tool that I'm going to talk about towards the end. But track number of meetings per week. So I have a story that I'll get to, but my goal was 2 calls per week. In order to do that, I found that I needed to reach out to 10 to 15 people per week, not including the follow-ups. Like I needed to do new outreach to 10 to 15 people per week. So to get an intro or an info call at a target company, you may need to contact like 5 connections who work there or get intros or 5 similar function people who work there, like just 5 product managers or recruiters or other functions who work there. And then there are some ways to track this. If you've read Never Search Alone from Phil Terry, if you're like deep in the job search, you should read that. You should join a job search council, but he's got some spreadsheets that you can look into there. I'm not providing the spreadsheets. Um, but if you do that, like I found that it took like 3.5 hours total per week. So did I put that? How many hours per day? Oh yeah, 30 minutes a day of outreach and then 2 meetings. So 5 times 30 is 2.5 and 2 30-minute meetings, 3.5 hours total per week when you're working. That is not like too much if you're working and looking for a new job. If you're not working and looking for a new job, you could easily triple that. You should spend more time networking than you do applying. And this says 66 slides, but a lot of them are appendix and other stuff. So we're going. I'm not going to go through the story, but it's awesome. I basically went from a process analyst to a director of product through networking, and I doubled my salary. If you want it, it'll be in the deck, and there's an even longer version on LinkedIn. Let's talk about LinkedIn's feed. Everybody loves the feed. Everybody likes doom scrolling and reading the posts. Let's make it productive, build some lists. So an example is a product job search list. I made this list. You can just start using it yourself. The way the list, oh, I'll show you how the list works on the next page. Make a list of functional thought leaders. So I, at the time, was following a bunch of PLG people. Here's an example of a PLG list. Or maybe like ad tech people, fintech or whatever you're into, the AI people, like all the top, like you could just think, oh, I want to get into AI. Okay. Who are the CEOs of all the top AI companies? Go find them on LinkedIn, put them in a list, just the ones that post, make that list, and then go visit that list each day. Now you don't have to rely on the algorithm. You can intentionally follow the people who have a huge following that are on a specific topic, and you can engage with their posts. Notice I say comment, not like. You should comment on their posts. You can like their post too, but don't just like it. Add a meaningful comment somehow, and I'm going to show you why. But then do this. Go look at who else comments and open up their profiles in a new tab. That will show them that you viewed their profile, which is kind of a passive way of trying to get them to look at you, or just reach out to them. Also look at who likes those posts because there'll be a bunch of people that you wouldn't have found in search that are related to that person. These are like some super tricky, most people don't do steps. So view the people who react. This is how to build custom lists. I'm not going to go through all of this, but that's how you do it. This is how you build a list of posts by authors at a specific company. So just how I said, like, oh, here's all the people who can help me get a job. Here's all the people who talk about PLG. Here's all the people who talk about ad tech. You can also be like, here's everybody in product who works at Google that posts. And I want to roll at Google. So I'm just going to like see who at Google is in product and posting, and I'm going to follow that every day. Here's how you do it. That's a good one. Most people sleep on this. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Why should you comment? Why are comments so important? Okay. I've been posting for a year and a half now, and my best post has gotten 15,000 impressions, and I had to link like 15 people that had more followers than me and get them to comment on it to say thank you. And I had already reached out to them, like I had done a lot of work to like be connected to them and whatever. And my best post has gotten like under 15,000 impressions. This one comment right here got 23,000 impressions. And my headline is not like the best of all headlines. And my LinkedIn profile is not the best of all LinkedIn profiles. But if you are super optimized, like go find people who have reasonable followings, go see a post that you think is going to take off, and put a good comment on it. This comment took me like 5 minutes to write. I wrote it on my phone, okay? 23,000 impressions, double my best ever post. And I've got a lot of comments like this. And I also get people who reach out to me like out of the blue, and they're just like one person, a Kellogg classmate who's a CEO of a biotech company. She's like, David, I always like it when you comment on my posts because those posts get double the reach. Another person said, like, LinkedIn sends me emails every time I log in. All I see is David and your little crystal ball bubble. Like, it's just from commenting because I do not post 7 days a week. I post like sometimes only once a week. All right, it's 2:45. I want to get to a little bit about messaging and management. The messaging stuff, I'm gonna kind of breeze through this because I want to leave time for questions, and now I realize I'm a little bit over time. But this stuff is in here. How to send messages without being ignored and feeling cringy. Here are the key things. Be brief. Just think about starting the relationship and don't put an ask, or if you do put an ask, make it as minimal as possible. Like, let's connect here. That's an ask. That's the least they could do is say yes. Or could you answer a few questions here? Then all they have to say is connect and yes. Then you send them the questions in the chat. Not, do you want to hop on a 15-minute call? That is an insane amount of work for busy people. Don't ask that. Can you give me a referral? Do I know you? No, I can't. So start with this. Do your research, find things in common, add some value, and sometimes the value can just be you're a fit for them. That's the value. That's what we talked about in mindset. And then if you are going to ask questions, be curious, ask them about their company, their function, like, hey, how does product work at Google, at Apple Health? Uh, or their team, like, hey, I noticed you're working on machine learning for semantic uh, comment analysis. What's new? Something like that. Um, that's the be curious because people like to know that others are like aware of their work. Here's three examples. These are like specific examples that I've used that worked. Eric was willing to give me a referral to Netflix, super cold outreach. Um, Lee told me which roles to apply to and helped me navigate when I was thinking about block. This didn't work out, but it's fine. Executive recruiter, Bobby. Bobby wrote me back immediately. I've been on multiple calls with him. He's awesome. And like for him, the value was just saying that I wanted to network. Like he's always looking for new people to network. He's an executive recruiter. Um, don't ask for a call or a chat. Don't pitch slap. Don't put like the metrics of like, hey, hiring manager, I'm so great about all these things. Like you could put that in an email, but like in LinkedIn, just establish a connection. And then you can go deeper and make requests later. But even then, keep the requests small at first. The goal is to like find a match. And then here's like literally the exact examples. Joao just hit me up with like some awesome like compliments, and I was like, of course I'm going to connect with you even though you're in Brazil. Like, and then I ended up working with him. It was great. Talk about reconnections. I'm going to breeze through this because I want to get to the management stuff. But if you need to reconnect after a very long time, here's how you can do it. This is how I reconnected with somebody at Google and how I reconnected with somebody at Meta. And this is talking about the follow-up too. I reconnected with somebody at Meta and I had to follow up with them 3 times, but when I did, then they got back to me. So they did not ghost me until I followed up with them 3 times and then they didn't ghost me. And I wouldn't think that anybody is ghosting me until I follow up with them 3 times. Here's the one I sent to Google. Let's talk about management. And I think I can do this in 2 minutes and we'll have 10 minutes for questions. Management. Visit these things daily. LinkedIn messaging or use Condo. I'm going to talk about that in a second. Go back to your save searches. You can save the link and put them in your notes or wherever and then come back to them so that you're not always like re-clicking all the filters. Go back to your feed and personal lists to find new posts. The personal lists, again, put them in your bookmarks, your notes, your Google Docs, whatever. Make one thing for LinkedIn. For notifications, like as I'm scrolling, if I see somebody I like, I turn on all posts so that I don't forget about them, but I'm not going to like go put them in my list. I'm just going to stay in LinkedIn. I'm going to turn all posts, go back to my feed, and then I'll see them again in my notifications if there's somebody that posts frequently. And when they're in my notifications, then I can go add them to a list. Then multiple times per week, go look at your new connections. And if you've been doing the Naked Connect, you're going to have a lot of new connections. And now you can choose who you want to message, effective and efficient. You can look at your new followers. If you're commenting on a lot of stuff, you'll get new followers. Anybody interesting in there? Or who viewed my profile? Same thing. If you're commenting, people might start looking at you. And then you could be like, hey, I noticed you stopped by my profile and you're an ad tech director. I'm looking for a new role. Like you already looked at me, like you know who I am. Let's talk. Don't say all that, but you know what I mean. Um, Condo. Why am I talking about this? 2 reasons. One, I met Mitchell. I've had 2 calls with him. I struggle sometimes with executive function and staying on top of things, and LinkedIn's inbox is trash. And so I saw Mitchell posting on Gaurav's stuff because Gaurav is the founder of Superhuman, and I went to one of Gaurav's Maven's courses. Then I started seeing Mitchell, got on a call with Mitchell. He's like, let me help you. He helped me with executive function and like how to like label and snooze messages. Used to be that Condo gave you a month free. That's no more. If you want to get Condo, you have to pay. Or you can use my link and you can get a month free because this is an affiliate link and I'm Mitchell's first person doing affiliate with him. And that's how networking works because I networked with him and now I get this. So Guadalupe is like, Condo is great. Okay, good. So I got some fans. Here's how I use it. I snooze things and then I come back to them. And so I can send somebody a message and if they don't respond, then normally I would have forgotten about them because I'm like, I messaged 10 people. How am I going to remember all 10 people? Go back to my sent mail? No. Now I can send the message, and before I archive it, I do a reminder for 1 week, and then it automatically takes it out of my inbox, puts it into the archive, and it will bring it back in 1 week. So then at the top of my inbox, there's all the people I should follow up with if they haven't gotten back to me. I love it. I'm not down to inbox zero, but I really love this. All right, 1 minute over. I'm very close. Last thing, don't be a leaky bucket. I've talked about this a little bit, so I might actually move this slide into some other places. Follow up multiple times, or you're not doing it right. It's not a no until they ignore you 2 or 3 times. 2 or 3 follow-ups. So you message them, then 2 more times you message them. So that's 3 total, or maybe even 3 more times, 4 total. And don't forget to respond. And after a call, send a recap because then you've got a receipt of the call. And whenever you're on calls, always ask people for other intros at the end of the call. Go back to my discovery leap. That's what I did. That's how I did this. In conclusion, and then we have time for questions. I do have an offer. I offer one-on-one coaching. Send me a message, like go connect to me on LinkedIn. Send me a message if you want one-on-one coaching. I am working on a Maven course. I'm going to try to get, I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm going to try to get 4 lightning lessons on one on each of the M's, and then do it as like a 4-hour cohort where you spend 30 minutes teaching one of the M's and 30 minutes like doing it with you. It's a 4-hour thing. If you have feedback on that you want to give me after listening to this, please connect me on LinkedIn, message me what you thought of this talk, message me what you think the Maven course should be. And now we're open for questions.
Awesome. Hey, I wanted to quickly get some feedback. So let me share, David.
Yes. Hang on. I gotta do escape or something. How do I stop? Stop. Exit. I'm very excited that I did finish this in less than an hour because I thought that I was gonna where is the oh, stop share. Here we go. And we will still have some time for questions.
Okay, so we definitely would like to get your feedback, honest feedback. David is improving every single day. He loves feedback, and so do we at Sidebar. Help us cater better content for you. So please take the survey. And questions. I'll leave this open as people put their questions on, and we can continue the conversation.
Thank you, Dan. And thank you. Who else? Thank you, Michelle.
Okay, maybe I'll start with one question. Oh, there is one. Okay. Backstory on magic.
I breezed over it, but the backstory on magic is that I grew up in Louisville, Kentucky, and my father was an amateur magician. He was a dentist, so he had like a lot of hand dexterity. He was an amateur magician and he joined the Louisville Magic Club. And when he joined, there were 2 young, like literally teenage, like high school teenagers, one by the name of Mac King, another by the name of Lance Burton. And those 2 people became like multi-million-dollar contract Vegas magicians. Lance Burton had a stage, like an entire theater built for him at the Monte Carlo and had a 10-year, $100 million contract. I grew up seeing those 2 like in like tiny church halls. And for me, like everybody's like, oh, this thing is magic. And they use the term magic all the time. And yeah, it is magic, but magic isn't the story was that like the magicians don't they're still required to obey the laws of physics, but it's from knowing the secrets and doing the practice and becoming really good at something. That's magic. And so that's why I chose that as my brand because I have an affinity with magicians. Yes, I do know a little bit of magic, but I'm not like an amateur magician myself. But that's what I think like product management or networking or whatever it is, the secrets are out there these days. Like you just got to find them and then practice.
Owning the craft. All right. Okay. I have a question. A lot of people struggle with networking when they don't need anything right now. What's your advice for networking proactively, not transactionally?
So there's 2 things that I do for that. The first is I do use the snooze in Gmail, and I also book time on my personal calendar with people that I want to stay in touch with. And so I have a number of like monthly or quarterly calendar appointments that are one-on-ones with people that I want to stay connected with. But like we both know that we're like not super close friends, like our families aren't going to be hanging out, but we're going to share like the backstory tips. And you have to make time for that. And you have to think of networking like the analogies that I've used are brushing your teeth or exercising or like generally maintaining a good diet. Like you just have to think of it as one of those buckets where you have to do it. Like if you want to have a long career and unless you think that you're never going to get laid off or you're a solopreneur and you've figured out your pipeline, you better be networking. And so here are the ways to do it.
Well, follow-up question to that would be like tactically, how do you track people that you would want to connect with, but you're not really exchanging emails with so many people for years and years.
Um, I would say that there are people that I'm exchanging emails with for years and years. Number one, like that's why I talk about my super connector Howard. I've known him since 2000 when we were roommates, and we still talk. Not all the time. I've probably since I left Los Angeles in 2004, I've probably seen Howard in person less than 5 times. But I talk to him at least once a year, if not 3 to 4 times a year, because I got the reminders. And then the people that you don't have reminders for, you go back into your LinkedIn and you just look people up. So that's what I was saying. Like, do your LinkedIn search. You can search for past coworkers. You can search for people in product. Like, I wonder where so and so is at. And if you can't even remember that person's name, that's okay. Like, you don't know them that well, but like, you can search your own first degree connections only for people who were past coworkers of any company and see where they're at now. And then depending on where they're at, like if it's interesting, then reach out to them and tell them, hey, I was looking through my connections and your name popped up when I was looking for product and I realized we haven't talked in a while. How's it going? Then you're not being transactional. You're actually like monitoring the relationship. And somebody said they use Clay. Um, Condo allows you to use notes, so you can put notes on profiles, and Condo also allows you to export everything to Notion, so then you can use Notion as a CRM. So yeah, and I connect to my Notion. Yep. Okay, you're saying use and you connect to Notion. Yep, exactly. Um, Latha, you're welcome.
I have a quick question.
Yes.
Verbal. This is more of a psychological one when reaching out. I think as someone who sometimes tends to overshare around my qualifications in sort of this misguided belief that I need to impress them, um, I I sometimes feel that the net result was me just sort of listing what I did right or did that's cool. But I find that sometimes backfires. Do you have a sort of a general advice around how much to include, like how much do you need to win people over into being impressed by you versus I think what you're saying here is it's not so much about being impressive, it's more about sort of curiosity and openness.
Exactly. So I have two quick answers to that. The first one is don't rely on one person getting back to you as your metric of success. So
Mhm,
reach
mhm.
out to 10 people. Then, if 7 of them don't get back, 3 people get back to you. That's a lot of people to get back and talk with. And then don't spend a lot of effort on the outreach because 7 people aren't going to get back to you, even if you had good outreach. One of the things that I like to say, and I didn't have time to to go through those slides in this deck, I hid them, is that LinkedIn's like personalized note sucks. You can barely see what it is. And most people are so bad that they put their foot in their mouth, and I don't want to connect with them if they put a personalized note at all because they almost all stink. So don't put a note at all. Just connect.
Oh, interesting.
And then they'll
Okay,
look at
good.
your profile.
Mhm.
If they see on your profile stuff that's good, then they'll be like, oh, Jonathan must have reached out to me because we're both in product and I'm working on AI at Google and he has machine learning at his last company. Normally I
This
would look up your profile or whatever, but like that's an example. So like then
This
your
so
profile already does the talking. You don't have to like say anything or sell anything. Like just have a good like a reasonably good profile. Mine's not the best. And then they'll decide
Huh.
or be curious. Hey, I noticed you do X. I just did X. Let's connect.
Wow, that's so hard for me, but
So
I'm gonna
basic.
hear
Don't
your
waste your time thinking
Mhm.
too hard. Don't
Yeah.
waste their time writing too much or making them think. Literally just pick one thing. Go back to the, I'm not sharing right now, but go back to the slides in the deck for like the executive recruiter outreach, or actually any of the three outreaches. The Netflix one, the functional peer isn't the best because that's just like we had a lot of connections common, but we did have like a lot of people that I knew really well that I'm sure he must have worked with. So there actually was like a strong overlap. But if you look at the other two, it was literally just like, here is one specific thing that's very in common for both of us. Let's connect. And that was it. That was enough. Then
Amazing.
it goes from there.
All right, so we are at time. I want to be respectful of everybody's time. If you have any more questions, David is always there to answer them. So please do reach out to him. Thank you all for joining today. Huge thank you to you, David, for sharing such thoughtful and practical insights on something that matters to everyone. It's
Before we leave, did you put the link to the slides in
yeah,
the
it's
chat
shared a couple times.
after people joined?
Yeah, we've shared it a couple times.
Okay, great. And
And yeah,
then
it'll be shared later again in the Sidebar group chat as well. Everybody will get it.
perfect. So I offered this for free. The one thing everybody that's still on can do for me is just connect with me on LinkedIn. Give me some feedback about what you liked or what you didn't like, what you want more of, or what just kind of fell flat so that I can improve this going forward. Really appreciate talking with you, all of you. And I liked the feedback and the questions even in the chat.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thanks again for being here, and we will see you at the next session.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.
Bye.